Today on Animal Outtakes,
everywhere I go, I'm bird watching. So even as I'm talking to you, I'm identifying blue-gray gnatcatcher over there and, mockingbirds in the distance.
Our show is Going to the Birds as we learn about this growing hobby that will have you looking to the skies.
It's kind of neat if you like mysteries. It's kind of like being a detective.
We have a lot of eagles around, and people should be able to recognize them and appreciate them.
Hello and welcome to Animal Outtakes. I'm your host, Marsha Panuce. And today we're heading out on an adventure into the world of birds. From bald eagles to birds of a different feather, they are all fascinating animals and fun to watch. So grab your binoculars and join us as we search for some feathered friends. In Palmetto, Florida, there's a haven for birds and bird watchers. Steve, we're out here on a very brisk morning. Felt's Audubon Preserve is 27 acres of pristine Florida habitat, built specifically with birds in mind. What will we be seeing this morning?
Well, we'll see. We would love to see a painted bunting, which is a gorgeous bird that in the summer spends its summers in North Carolina.
Steve Black is an avid birder and member of the Manatee County Audubon Society, which maintains the preserve. Today he's taking us out to their bird blind, a shelter built specifically for observing these birds.
It was built to such standards because we had all those hurricanes. Remember all those hurricanes came through at one time? Well, that was when we were putting this bird blind up, and they really made us build this thing to hurricane standards. So I would be confident here in a hurricane. These are bird feeders we've put in here, and that's a solar water fountain there, and when the sun hits there, then the water flows and the sun's not hitting enough. And we've numbered them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so people will know. We'll say, look at number 4, there's a such and such there.
That's very interesting, your solar waterfall.
We have no electricity out here, and yeah. And so we wanted some way for birds to be. All birds need water, and not all birds eat seed. So we have birds that come to the water fountain strictly for the water fountain. And these are all designed, and of course we put the bird blind here for people who don't have binoculars who might get interested.
When it comes to birding, there are only a few tools that you need: a pair of binoculars and a good field guide.
The field guide will tell you where the bird is supposed to be. It will tell you where he is in the summer, in the winter, and it will also have identifying marks. For example, if you see let's say a palm warbler, the book would say that he wags his tail, he would have yellow under his tail, he'll have a mark over his eye. So the best way to learn is, of course, to be with somebody that knows more than you do.
So Steve, I'm going to get started in birding.
Okay.
And I have never done this.
Right.
So I'm going to go out and buy the binoculars and get my field guide.
That's right.
And now what do I do?
Okay, well the first thing you do is you get education. And I'm a great believer in fundamentals.
Steve says there are 4 fundamentals to follow when trying to identify a bird in the wild.
The first one is size and shape. So that's the first fundamental. The second fundamental would be color patterns. It might be red and black, it might be blue and white like a blue jay or whatever. The third would be habitat. If they're in a certain habitat, we're looking for certain things.
The 4th fundamental is behavior. There are a lot of other things we can learn about birds by just looking at them. You've spoken about the beaks and the different sizes that we see. And what is the significance of that again, Steve?
Well, first of all, that tells us what they eat.
Okay.
So if they have a thick beak, we know they're probably seed eaters. If they have a thin bill, they're probably going to be eating insects and things like that. Now, there are birds, roseate spoonbills, that have almost a spoon that they go back and forth. They scoop. That's right. That's right. So the bird indicates that's what they eat, but also it indicates to us what it is. Those are all goldfinches. We don't see anybody else but a goldfinch there. Let's see if we got anybody. Those are all goldfinches. Look at all the goldfinches.
At first, the birds were a little shy to fly in for a snack, especially with an unwelcome addition.
Yeah, that's a turkey vulture.
I see. And here we've got some real friends coming in.
Okay, we got some raccoons. They're not really our friends because they get in and they break into the feeders and things like that. But those are juvenile raccoons and they're cute.
Well,
No
they're
question.
adorable.
No question.
But before long, we caught sight of the male painted bunting with its bright red and blue feathers. It's not hard to see why this is one of Steve's favorite birds. You know, there's something to be said about bird watching and
Right.
birding, and,
Right.
and there's an allure. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
But tell us why.
Well, it's kind of neat if you like mysteries. You know, it's kind of like being a detective, and also when you see the beauty of some of these birds, they're really, really gorgeous.
One of the fun aspects about birding is that you can do it anywhere. Gallus Quigley is an avid birder in Lake County, Florida, and he has even given himself a special goal. Now, what
Okay.
is a big year?
Okay, a big year is the goal. A big year, basically, the goal of a big year is to see as many birds as possible, species of birds, not individuals, in a single calendar year in a specific geographic area.
A big year is a personal goal, although it can be competitive between birders.
I'm actually competing against 2 other birders from other counties. They're doing their own counties, and we're trying to see who gets the most.
This is the second big year that he's done. The first was for all Florida birds. This time around, he has his sights set on one specific area.
And this year I'm doing a Lake County big year, which is just focused on the birds of Lake County. And I have I set out at the beginning of the year to see 220 species. My previous big year record was 198, and I am now at 235.
So you've exceeded.
Yes. And I'm thinking I'm probably going to top out probably in the low 240s if I'm able to find everything I expect to find before the end of the year.
Birding has been a lifelong endeavor. How long have you been doing this?
I began bird watching in 8th grade in
Really?
Pennsylvania. I started bird watching at Hawk Mountain Sanctuary in Kempton, Pennsylvania.
For him, the allure of the birds is all-encompassing.
Everywhere I go, I'm bird watching. So even as I'm talking to you, I'm identifying blue-gray gnatcatcher over there and, you know, mockingbirds in the distance and just nonstop. I can't, driving, everything I do revolves around birding.
But we need people like Alice, his notes on these birds, when and where he sees them. They are vital to conservation.
I enter all my data into a program called eBird, which is through Cornell University of Ornithology. And so by birders like myself who do this, we are contributing to science, denoting where birds are breeding, where they're wintering, when they're migrating, when to the north, when they're migrating south. All this information helps us conserve our wildlife.
It's not just information about summer and winter habitats or where birds are nesting. It's also important to protect the spaces in between, making sure birds have safe places to stop while they are migrating.
And for Florida, with a lot of specialized species, it also helps us know where they are, like Florida scrub jays, red-cockaded woodpeckers. These are birds that are habitat specific, and it lets us know where they are, and if they disappear from that site, then maybe people can look into why are they not here anymore, what's wrong, what's going on.
Gallus's Lake County's big year ended on December 31st, 2015 at 11:59 p.m. with a total count of 243 species, 23 more than his goal, and a new personal record. So does this become a personal achievement for you as well as contributing to the scientific?
Absolutely. I mean, I look forward to seeing new birds. My favorite thing to get is called a life bird. And a life bird is a bird I've never seen in my life. So, and a bird is only a life bird once. So once I see it, it can never be a life bird again. It can be a trip bird, it can be a day bird, it can be a month bird, it can be a year bird, it can be a location bird. It can be many other things, but it can only be a life bird once. And my entire, being is about finding new life birds.
Coming up on Animal Outtakes,
These guys can have a 250-word vocabulary.
a bird as smart as a dolphin? We'll tell you about it. Plus,
Just the look of an eagle is something that it makes you look. It makes you stop and look.
Spotting eagles in your own backyard. That's next.
For thousands of years, we've been humans' best friend. You've been through a lot, and we've been right there with you. A dog is part of the family, a confidant, and a friend who always knows how to get into your heart. So what happens to our beloved companions when we can no longer care for them? This is why we've created Dante's Den, an innovative, state-of-the-art facility that will provide care for up to 100 dogs.
Dante's Den is a community for joyful dogs.
Millions of Americans face uncertainty when planning for the future of beloved pets who may well outlive them. Dante's Den is a charitable organization, so in whatever capacity you can, please lend your support so that we may continue this most wonderful work.
Dante and I would like to thank you for watching and for also opening up your hearts to our wonderful community of joyful dogs.
Learn about the many ways you could become involved by visiting dantesden.org.
Hi, I'm Marsha Panuce, founder of the Dante's Den Foundation.
And I'm Ron Dixon, the Executive Director out at the Dens. Dante's Den has come a long way since its inception to where we are now.
We've helped hundreds of dogs since we've opened, but now we need your help.
We sure do, Marsha. Dante's Den needs great volunteers to help us feed, walk, and play with all of our furry friends.
So come on out and enjoy our 50 acres of beautiful countryside where you can also feed miniature Holstein cows.
And their babies.
And Hee-Haw.
The donkey.
And Buttercup.
A beautiful miniature horse.
If you would like to be a part of our joyful community of dogs, please visit dantesden.org.
Or call us toll free at 844-DANTES-DEN. That's 844-366-8336.
Come on out today and see what makes us so special. While you can find an abundance of bird species in parks and natural preserves, you don't always have to travel to see some impressive animals. You just have to know where to look. Dale, we're here on Longboat Key, Florida, on a beautiful morning, and right behind us.
Yep, you've got some bald eagles up there nesting in a tree, right? Posing for us this morning.
Dale Nauman heads up the Eagle Watch in Sarasota County, and he says these majestic birds are more common than you would think.
We have about 40 active nests in Sarasota County, a few more each year, so it's becoming less rare. And eagles have been having to adapt to what we're doing, so we're seeing more of the eagles around us, closer to us.
Once in danger of extinction from hunting and trapping, the eagle has bounced back and is now found across the United States and in Canada too. So we do have some regulations and laws protecting this grand bird.
We do. The birds in the nest are protected, from destroying it or killing it or shooting the birds. The activity that you do that disturb them is where you get in a big gray area of what you're allowed to do and what you're not.
The bald eagle is the national symbol for the United States and is considered sacred in every Native American Indian tribe. It's not hard to understand the allure. They are an impressive bird.
I guess it's just the regal look that it has, the striking colors. They're not a rainbow of colors, they're only brown and white and the gold feet and the beak, but the striking, the contrast of those colors and just the look of an eagle is something that it makes you look, it makes you stop and look.
In Florida, nesting season generally runs from October to May. Historically, how many eggs would you say are laid at a particular time? Is it one time during one period of nesting?
It's only once a year in that period that we talked about. They average 2. A lot of them will only have 1, and occasionally we'll have one with 3, but that's fairly rare. Maybe 1 out of 40 nests will have 3 each year.
Once the young eagles have left the nest, they'll take off, traveling north for the summer, but return to Florida in the fall, oftentimes to the same nest. Speaking of nests, they're just as impressive as the birds. At 6 feet across and 4 feet deep, the eagle's nest is among the largest in the world. And in Florida, at least, you'll most likely find those nests in southern pines.
It's because it's tall, and a southern pine is typically like that, where it grows straight up, and then there's a Y of branches where you have a perfect spot for a nest, and then you have the cover over on top, but it's still fairly open where they can fly in. So 90% of the nests, maybe more than 90% of the nests are in a southern pine.
So if you want to see an eagle, all you have to do is look.
When I drive between Braden and Sarasota, I see an eagle every day. Along I-75, you'll see them flying over, you'll see them on poles. All you have to do is look. And once you learn to spot an eagle, you'll be able to tell an eagle from an osprey and a vulture and all that. So we have a lot of eagles around, and people should be able to recognize them and appreciate them. When an eagle is flying, his wings are straight out and flat. An osprey, they kind of droop down, and a vulture, they're turned up. But an eagle is flat. An eagle has a bigger head and neck, so it has a little different profile from the others. And eagles usually take a direct flight. You don't see eagles just kind of flying around, you know, soaring like a vulture. When an eagle has somewhere to go, he goes there.
Still ahead on Animal Outtakes.
Can you see Cracker? Oh, Cracker! Phew.
We're chatting with some exotic birds next.
For thousands of years, we've been humans' best friend. You've been through a lot, and we've been right there with you. A dog is part of the family, a confidant, and a friend who always knows how to get into your heart. So what happens to our beloved companions when we can no longer care for them? This is why we've created Dante's Den, an innovative, state-of-the-art facility that will provide care for up to 100 dogs.
Dante's Den is a community for joyful dogs.
Millions of Americans face uncertainty when planning for the future of beloved pets who may well outlive them. Dante's Den is a charitable organization, so in whatever capacity you can, please lend your support so that we may continue this most wonderful work.
Dante and I would like to thank you for watching and for also opening up your hearts to our wonderful community of joyful dogs.
Learn about the many ways you could become involved by visiting dantesden.org.
Hi, I'm Marsha Panuce, founder of the Dante's Den Foundation.
And I'm Ron Dixon, the Executive Director out at the Dens. Dante's Den has come a long way since its inception to where we are now.
We've helped hundreds of dogs since we've opened, but now we need your help.
We sure do, Marsha. Dante's Den needs great volunteers to help us feed, walk, and play with all of our furry friends.
So come on out and enjoy our 50 acres of beautiful countryside where you can also feed miniature Holstein cows.
And their babies.
And Hee-Haw.
The donkey.
And Buttercup.
A beautiful miniature horse.
If you would like to be a part of our joyful community of dogs, please visit dantesden.org.
Or call us toll free at 844-DANTES-DEN. That's 844-366-8336.
Come on out today and see what makes us so special.
Cleaning teeth in dogs and cats is actually something that should be done every day, like you and I. In most situations, it's usually the sugars in the food that cause damage and tartar, and we do like to feed our dogs a bunch of stuff. People like to say it's a canned food, but not necessarily, although there's a lot of sugars in the canned food as well, carbohydrates. So the rule of thumb is when you have a young animal or you start getting an animal in your life, you want to get them used to not only having their feet handled for nail trims, but also having their mouth handled. And you want to start scrubbing their teeth. You use a baby toothbrush, usually kind of very, very soft, or you can use specialized dog, cat toothbrushes. So how often do you go to the veterinarian to get them clean? That usually depends on the animal. If you have certain breeds like Yorkshire Terrier that are very predisposed, or Chihuahua, to having bad teeth or bad hygiene in their gums, you may have to go more often than if you have, for example, a Labrador. Again, those are generalizations. It depends on the breed, it depends on what they eat, it depends on their overall health, and it depends on the care you give them. Because teeth health can also represent the general body health.
The bald eagle is easily identified by the stark white feathers on its head and neck, but they're not born looking that way.
It's 5 years till it gets to look like that. When they're born, they're almost all dark brown with little white specks. And then like the third year, you'll see the head starting to turn white. Third and the fourth year, they look like they're kind of dirty, mixed, it looks like sometimes people will call, we got an eagle out here that has oil on it or something's wrong with it. And it's just a young one that's making the transition.
When it comes to longevity, birds take the cake. The painted bunting can live upwards of 10 years and eagles more than 3 times that long. But there are some exotic species that can actually outlive humans. Take Andy, for instance, a green-winged macaw who is in his late 50s.
Now you say he's 50 years old. How many more years does he have to go?
He can actually live up to 100 years. The average span is 50 to 60, but when they're well taken care of, they can live well over 80 years. Generally, most of these birds that we have here came as pets, so they were all former and brought to us because they either didn't have time or because they do live so long that they have to be given to us, and they are very loud and messy.
This is a very, very sweet bird that you can tell there's a few years of age on here. And I'm not seeing a lot of intense eye movement. Is there by any chance some problem with his eyes?
He is blind. He's an older gentleman, so he is going blind. At least as far as we can tell. He's got some cataracts and things like that.
He's losing his eyesight. What other senses are taking over right now?
They don't really have a sense of smell, so that's really pretty much he's using his hearing. He's got really good hearing, and he uses touch. We always warn him when we're coming in and kind of nudge him in the nose just so he knows that someone's there.
As for intelligence, these parrots are incredibly smart. Our friend Andy has a pretty good vocabulary.
Can you see Cracker? Oh, Cracker! You!
This cockatoo named Frosty is a retired performer. And Frosty Jr. is a chatterbox.
Can you say hi, Frosty? There you go. That's a good bird.
But perhaps the most impressive is Fortune.
Fortune is an African gray parrot.
While smaller than his cousin Andy, the African gray is considered one of the smartest birds in the world.
These guys can have a 250-word vocabulary. These are known as the smartest parrots. They're very common to have as pets because they are really smart. They're on the same level as dolphins and that kind of animal.
From the smartest to one of the rarest, the hyacinth macaw.
These are endangered. There's not too many of these guys left.
And aren't you pretty? Is this Roxanne?
This is Roxanne.
Okay. The color blue is just so intense, and those gorgeous eyes. And you are rare, pal. Very rare. Why? Why?
These guys, it's generally habitat loss and human issues that cause them to be endangered.
The hyacinth macaw is native to South America, and it's the largest of the parrot species, measuring a little over 3 feet from head to tail. For someone considering getting a bird as a pet, Kelly warns, do your research.
They need a lot of attention. They're very loud, very messy, so you definitely want to have a space for them to go. so that they don't stress out the animals you already have in your house.
So you really should have a huge cage for them, is that correct?
They definitely need a large enclosure and definitely an area that's just for them so they're not intruding on anyone else's turf.
We'll be right back.
Animal Outtakes is produced by Dante's Den Foundation, a nonprofit group dedicated to creating the best life for dogs. If you would like to learn more about Dante's Den, donate, or volunteer, visit our website, dantesden.org. Thanks for joining us on this birding adventure. We hope you've enjoyed learning about these amazing animals and how you can find them in your own backyard. Join us again next week for another amazing animal adventure.
I'm not rolling on the audio over there.
Show me one. There we go.
How did you do that?
It's mainly just 2 fingers, and you can kind of just float him in front and he'll just pick them up.